I honestly do not. Like, the only thing that I would have missed would have been high school, and I don't miss a bit of high school. I know I have lots of friends who stayed in the public school I would have gone to, and I do not envy a bit of their experience. They did not, for the most part, enjoy it, and the few bits that they did enjoy, I don't think I would have been interested in. I have zero regrets about coming here, not even one. Like, seriously, not even one. This sounds glib. I don't mean it to be. 100 level classes in colleges, especially in community colleges, are so regressive in many ways. Professors know that, or at least they've expressed to me the sentiment that they're receiving students from high schools who have zero grounding in the basics anyway, and they feel like they have to hold students' hands so well and so tightly that the 100 level introductory courses that I've been through, they teach them like they're teaching people high school all over again. And so I don't feel like I ever lost any kind of academic ability or any kind of academic opportunities at all. And this is, again, coming from the schools here in Maryland. If you have somebody who's going to an Oxford, to a Stanford, to a Harvard, MIT, it might be different, the expectations. But going through the community college and then the four-year college route that I went to, I did not feel poorly served at all.
It's such a difficult subject. I know now that I didn't. I think when I first left the school, I had this intense feeling when I went into a job market or went into interacting with other people that I left and I didn't graduate Fairhaven. And even if I had gotten a certificate or diploma from Fairhaven, I feel that I didn't go through a high school graduation process. I didn't do that and have that. And I think I went through a couple years of struggling with that feeling of well, these people, they have their GEDs or their diplomas, and knowing that it's something I could have gone out and done. I could have easily gone and taken a little course and gotten my GED, but I went through years of struggling and in the middle of a flock.
Sorry, man. Really sorry.
Struggling with that feeling of who am I? I've come from this alternative place. I feel slightly alien. And it took me years to decide that it didn't matter to me. That I knew if I wanted to go to a school, that the only thing that may have stopped me from was going to some college or something that wasn't really what I wanted in the first place. There was a little bit of social pressure to be that person, to have that certificate or degree or piece of paper, and I've come to a place in my life where I've decided it's a piece of paper, and I know how intelligent I am and how capable I am and how articulate I am, and I don't need that. I don't need to have a signed piece of paper telling me that I'm good enough. I know it, and I think I know it partially because of the time I spent here and was able to become myself and define myself.
And that's been a question that has kind of been hounding over me, a cloud over me for a long time. And it's there, but it never really does anything, to the point of where I was like, well, why is it there? I just want to give the example that pretty much, technically, I ended my basic education that an elementary school child would get at about 5th grade. So there's certain things that I stopped receiving in more of a regular way at that point. And so now I'm sitting at the computer acting as an editor for a site and having to proofread people's work and go through, all of these different pieces and read them and fix typos and syntax and grammar and so forth and all this stuff. And I'm going, oh gosh, do I know what I'm doing? And sure enough, I guess I know what I'm doing because I was asked to be an editor. This wasn't something that I pushed for. This was just something that kind of grew out of a relationship with these other folks at the website. So even though that there are those anxieties and those fears there, they ended up just being figments. They ended up just being, again, stories that I chose to look
They're-
at rather than go, okay, I can brush them off.
They're boogeymen.
They're boogeymen.
And you,
Yeah.
you know, you go through a process, I think, when you leave here of realizing that they're not real. They don't exist.
Mhm.
I spent a few years thinking it had more effect than it did. In like I said, treating it as this boogeyman, as this hurdle I had to overcome, that if I was going to apply for a job and someone asked, what would I say? And I spent years coming to terms with it and in realizing that it hasn't really had a large effect. The only effect it ended up having was a lack of confidence. That was the only effect it had, and regardless of any piece of paper, I think that was something I had to overcome either way. I think I personally probably would have found an alternative reason to question my ability or confidence, just in that being a portion of who I am, in being just smart enough to know that I don't know everything is a difficult, slippery slope when it comes to having the confidence to know what you're good enough to do. And it was a struggle. It's something that I did struggle with, but I've definitely come to a much better place in it, in knowing my capabilities and who I am. Me personally, there was a few times where I applied for a job or something, and I felt this pressure or this almost guilt over it. But I've gotten to a place where I wouldn't imagine being embarrassed by it. That's so far from where I am and how I feel. I'm proud now of my education and where I came from and who I am and what it's allowed me to be. It was the social aspect. In being here, I began my journey of becoming a more sociable person who could deal with the daily interaction and all that. And to the point where I think when I left, I believe from other people's vantage points, they might not even have known that I did enjoy my time here and was getting so much from it, because I was still in a process of turmoil and growth. There is so much I got from this place that I don't know if it settled so much during my time here. It's so hard to define or keep track of how you're doing at this school while you're in it, because it would be like going into a garage and someone's in the middle of fixing a car and all the parts are spread around and it looks like chaos, and they keep promising you they're fixing it and they're going somewhere, but when you walk into that garage, the parts are all laying out and there's fluids on the floor and the person fixing it is all dirty, and it might look like this chaos, but it's going somewhere and something's happening there, and it's a process, and sometimes that can seem so chaotic and seem so difficult and tumultuous, but it was always going somewhere and I was always getting so much from it.
I feel like, the question of seeds being planted, I feel like those seeds sprouted and have borne fruit for so many seasons already that I don't really know how long it has been since it happened. I feel like the changes that Fairhaven wrought on me were almost immediate. It was very, very fast that I feel like I adapted the school and the society, and it is and always shall be a part of who I am, my personality and how I look at the world and my relationships with other people, and it has been for so long. I don't think there are any other seeds lying dormant, but it's Fairhaven's who I am now at this point. It's one of the reasons I'm here right now, because I'm involved in the Alumni Committee because I really, really love the model, and I especially love the school and the people who are a part of the school. So those might be the seeds right there and the fruit they've borne.